This is CBN NewsWatch.
Welcome to this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. President Donald Trump's impeachment trial is set to begin Tuesday of next week. U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts will oversee the trial. The senators were sworn in on Thursday.
Bible, and raise your right hand.
Will all senators now stand or remain standing and raise their right hand? Do you solemnly swear that in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Donald John Trump, President of the United States, now pending, you will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and laws, so help you God?
I can only tell you.
President Trump once again called it a partisan effort and a hoax. He's expected to be acquitted because it would take a supermajority of 67 senators to vote for impeachment. President Trump uses his presidential pulpit to stand up for religious rights and takes first steps to reinforce protections for prayer in schools Thursday. It's an effort to give guidance to school officials and students about what is and isn't allowed when it comes to religious expression in public schools.
This afternoon, we're proudly announcing historic steps to protect the First Amendment right to pray in public schools.
To remind the chief education officers in all 50 states that students have the right to pray at their own direction, to gather at their own direction, to bring the Bible to school if they choose to bring the Quran or the Torah in.
The White House also planning to streamline the federal complaint process for students to alert authorities of discrimination. In 1962, the Supreme Court banned public school-sponsored prayer while allowing students to privately meet and pray on school grounds. That decision has sometimes been misinterpreted as banning all religious expression in public schools, resulting in court battles and more Supreme Court rulings. Evangelicals see those cases as part of a larger battle over the place of biblical values in America. In the Oval Office, CBN's David Brody raised that issue with the president.
What are your views on this cultural war that we hear so much about?
Well, it is a cultural war, and you have two sides, and you have a side that believes so strongly in prayer, and they're being restricted, and it's getting worse and worse, and I think we've made a big impact, and we're loosening up a lot, and I want to loosen it up totally. But you have things happening today that 10 or 15 years ago would have been unthinkable what's happening.
President Trump has a strong support among evangelicals. The latest polls show 77% of white evangelical voters approve of his job performance. Evangelical leader Dr. James Dobson praised the president's action. The founder of Focus on the Family said in a statement, "I've lived long enough to remember well a time when public prayer was expected and appreciated, even in schools. I've also lived long enough to see the consequences of our societal disregard of the Ten Commandments and the eternal truth they represent. We should celebrate the administration's vital efforts to protect our religious freedom, but such work is in vain if we don't seize the opportunity to live out our faith and thereby transform the heart of this nation." Overseas, for the first time in years, Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei led Friday's prayers in Tehran. It's a sign of how much pressure the regime is feeling. Now, with crippling sanctions and Iranians protesting in the streets, some people wonder if this could be the moment the Iranian regime will fall. Here's one perspective from Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah of Iran, who spoke this week at Washington's Hudson Institute.
I think people smell the opportunity for the first time in 40 years this time. Very different than 2009, even very different from 1997. The people have had it. Today's generation of young Iranians cannot take it anymore. They want to have an opportunity for a better future. They want to be on the path of modernity and freedom. The only thing that stands between them and the free world is this regime.
Our Chris Mitchell joins us from Jerusalem with more. Chris, is Reza Pahlavi one alternative to the Iranian regime?
Yeah, Mark, he is one alternative. He's not the only alternative, though. He is an alternative that many people in Washington would be looking for. He's the son of the Shah of Iran that was deposed 40 years ago, but there are many opposition groups representing many of the ethnic groups all over Iran. You know, we're talking about possible regime change. There's two big questions to remember, Mark. What is going to happen to the security apparatus? These are some of the bajees. You see these security officials out on the street beating people and shooting protesters. You know, the hope is that they could turn away from the regime and turn with the people. In fact, you see confrontations of the people telling the bajees, come with us. Go against the regime. We'll see if that happens. And then maybe this is too far in advance, but if the regime did fall, what kind of transition would it be? Would it be a violent one? Could it be a peaceful one? We'll see. But right now, as Reza Pahlavi said, you know, this could be the time after 40 years of the Islamic regime.
Chris, could this be a time for President Trump's tear down the wall moment? And explain what is meant by tear down this wall.
Yeah, some people may not remember, but in 1987, Ronald Reagan had a speech at the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. He called on then Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, tear down this wall, tear down the Berlin Wall that had been up there for years. Some people are looking at President Trump's tweets to the Iranian regime as an incremental way of saying sort of tear down this wall and have the regime fall. But right now, the official U.S. policy is not to have regime change. We'll see if that happens, and we'll see if there's any connection between many of these opposition groups and the U.S. administration.
How important is prayer during this time for Iran?
Mark, it's vital and it's pivotal, really. There's one example I can cite. Dick Eastman, he's the head of Christ for the Nations. Back in 1987, he felt the Lord told him to go to the Berlin Wall and put his hands on it and say 5 words, in Jesus' name, come down. Now, there were many other people praying inside the Soviet Union and around the world, but prayer is pivotal back there in the Soviet Union days and today now in the Islamic Republic.
Amen. Well, what do you have coming up on this week's Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, we have a roundtable with our colleagues, George Thomas and Gary Lane, talking about Iran. They bring years of experience reporting on Iran. We have Magdala, which is a story about the first-century synagogue discovered up in the Galilee, and Passages, which is a story about Christian students coming to Israel for the very first time, really having a life-changing experience. That's just some of what we have on today's Jerusalem Dateline.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your time, sir. And you can watch Jerusalem Dateline tonight on the CBN News Channel at 9:30 Eastern, and we'll be right back.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening.
My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
The church in Iran is growing with more and more Iranians coming to Christ. Our Gary Lane spoke with Dr. Mike Ansari with Heart for Iran about it.
Mike, some say the church in Iran is the fastest growing church in the world. Would you say that's a reasonable assessment? Why is it growing so rapidly?
Absolutely. In our own ministry, we're receiving hundreds of calls every single day from the Muslims living inside Iran telling us, can you tell us more about Jesus? They want to find out more about the Prince of Peace. I believe a majority of Iranians are fed up with the anger, the frustration that they see their God being portrayed as, and they're naturally gravitating to the message of love, which is at the core of Christianity.
Mike, I know that some of the young people especially are very frustrated with the regime, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're embracing Christianity. So how is it that they're coming to the Lord?
It's very interesting because you're right. Roughly about 50% of Iran's population is under 30s, if not more. And many of these people are connected to the West. They're following our social media, the pop culture in the West, the Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga. And they're asking themselves the question, why is there such a division between their culture and their society and the one in the West? And they want to belong to the West. So many of them are asking the question, do I really want to be identified with the ideology and the lifestyle that the Iranian Muslims have set out for me? And they're saying no, they're rejecting it flat out, and they're gravitating to anything that is outside. Majority of them are researching and finding out more about the meaning of life, and quite a few are falling on a personal challenge and journey, finding out more about Jesus.
There is a price to be paid for them when they do embrace Christianity. How is the government in Iran reacting to the spread of Christianity?
But remember, Iran is an Islamic republic. It is not happy when it loses its Muslims to Christianity. Therefore, it has created a task force since 2010, in particular, where they're conducting raids on the underground house churches. They are arresting people. They're putting God's fear into them. As a matter of fact, just this week, we got callers calling us and telling us that after they contacted our call center, they were contacted by Iranian intelligence, telling them that they have no right contacting the infidels outside of Iran, meaning us. So it shows that Iranian government is very, very frustrated. There are rampant arrest and persecution. We hear every day from advocacy groups and human rights organizations about atrocities that Iranian minorities, not only Christians, but also Baha'is, Sunnis, and other factions are facing. It's a systematic harassment that Iranians are facing, and simply because they do not have a choice to choose anything they want to choose.
And we know that Iranian women face persecution just for not wearing, covering their heads, wearing a scarf. Regarding church growth, then, what role are women playing? Are they playing a significant role?
Absolutely. The women of Iran are courageous. They're bold, they're strong. They're very much at the forefront of the movement of the growth of Christianity in Iran. They're not afraid. Like Islam portrays the woman's position to be of being dominated by men and society, the Iranian women are courageous, and they're standing up and they're leading the men into making decisions that is transforming Iran from inside out. A lot of Iranians are giving their heart to Christ, and a lot of underground churches that are connecting with us are being led by Iranian leaders that are women.
And finally, Mike, for years we've heard about Jesus appearing to Muslims in dreams. Have you heard that too? And what are some of the latest stories you've heard about Iran? What's happening in the church?
Well, yes. Absolutely. We think that we're very sophisticated with our TV and with our missionaries going in there. But the good news is that Jesus is way ahead of us. He's already meeting with people in that area through dreams and visions. People call us and say, I just saw your program on Mohabbat TV, and you know what, I actually had a dream about this, or I had a vision about this. So my mother told me that she had a dream about it. Can you tell me more about the man in white? Who is this Jesus? Who is this Prince of Peace? You mean that God is not a vengeful, angry God that's going to smite me, that he loves me with all my challenges and inadequacies? And we say, yes, that is the grace of God. So yes, dreams and visions are happening. Also, majority of people of Iran are disillusioned with Islam. They're realizing that that's not how they want to be identified. So they're seeking elsewhere, and the other religions, and also Christianity. And the third group, Gary, are the people who are going back to the roots of Christianity that was eradicated systematically by Islam in Iran. Remember, the first millennia of Christianity did not happen in Vatican, did not happen in America or Germany, happened in Middle East, in the area that we call Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And many of these people are realizing that a heritage that was erased and systematically eradicated by Islam was identified through Christianity. I have the Kurdish people that are saying that in their villages, their grandparents are putting a cross on their bread, and they're asking, Grandma, why do you put a cross on the bread? They say, because our ancestors used to be Christians, and they put the cross there to bless it. So we're seeing a surge of Iranian youth going back to this reemergence of Christianity and Christian identity that was lost in that region.
Not just a God of the West, a God of the whole world. Dr. Mike Ansari with Heart for Iran, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Streaming services are growing in popularity, but the Parent Television Council's Tim Winter says parents really need to be on guard about the content for kids. He spoke with our Charlene Aaron about his concerns.
Last year, we saw a near total transformation of the TV industry as we know it. Talk about some of the changes that have happened.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, as the streaming platforms become more attractive to children, it's been more difficult than ever for parents to try to monitor the entertainment content that their kids are watching. It's not just the television set in the living room anymore. It's their handheld cell phones, their iPads, their laptop computers. It's reaching children. Entertainment is reaching children through literally in the palm of their hand, wherever they happen to be. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is an increase in the toxic entertainment content, very graphic sexual content, very profane content, full frontal nudity, graphic violence, horrific violence, even themes that encourage suicide, teen suicide as a resolution to life's problems. It's never been more vexing as a parent, and we are sounding the alarm to try to get parents more aware of what's going on out there in today's entertainment media environment.
And Tim, you say that much of, the entertainment that you just mentioned, is actually focused at, they're marketing it to kids. You say that they're doing it on purpose. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, for years, maybe even for decades, if there was something that was explicit, maybe graphic violence or profanity that was targeted to adults, if children came across it to Hollywood, that was just collateral damage. It was a parent's fault that if kids were being exposed to stuff they shouldn't, then they would blame the parents. Things have changed in the last year or two. Now you have themes that are heavily attractive, uniquely, inherently attractive to children. shows about high school and junior high school age children where there's graphic sex, graphic violence, profanity, nudity. It's some of the most shocking content that a parent would do anything to shield their kids from. Now it's focused on children, and it's being marketed through social media. They're using some very popular Disney Channel characters actors to perform. It's a different landscape now. It's not just that children are collateral damage. They are in the crosshairs.
Tim, you mentioned Disney, and Disney has come up with a new cartoon that teaches kids how to be witches using a demon. Talk about the increase in the use of witchcraft and the occult that we're seeing in entertainment right now.
If you are a family of faith, there is not a whole lot out there that's really positive on the mainstream major Hollywood platforms. It's so unfortunate. You have such a huge population of Americans who are hungry for something positive, something that they can sit and watch together with their children, and there just isn't a whole lot out there. And that's one of the things that we're hoping in 2020, that Hollywood recognizes just how big of a marketplace there is out there for family entertainment, for quality family entertainment, and let's produce more of it.
How do you see them actually, doing better to serve families in 2020?
There are a couple of things they need to do. Number one, just as we said, produce more high-quality family entertainment. Number two, make sure that when they are producing their entertainment content, they rate it properly, put an accurate label on there. Most parents go to the grocery store, look at the back of a box, and see what the ingredients are. Right now, when you look at the rating system for movies and television and video games and music and all the other different platforms, they're inconsistent, they're inaccurate, and they usually market explicit content to a younger age group than they should. And lastly, we want to be able to provide parents with technological tools. There are tools available that would allow them to watch a mainstream Hollywood movie and filter out, skip past any profanity, violence, any sexually explicit content, things that a parent could set their controls on their device to skip past the offending material. And unfortunately, Hollywood is suing technology companies into bankruptcy to prevent them from giving this tool to parents. We want an update to the Family Movie Act that will allow parents to stream content and skip past the offensive pieces.
Very, very important information. Tim Winter, thank you so much, very much for being with us today.
Be with you today. Good day from Los Angeles.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
And our sports director, Sean Brown, is here now to talk sports. It's been an exciting couple weeks for football, Sean.
Yes, it has, man.
Yeah,
yes,
first of all, let's talk about the College National Championship. We know that LSU dominated Clemson after the first quarter. Still a lot of talk about the game and what's happened since. Bring us up to speed.
Well, what's interesting about college programs is that when they win a national championship, the question is, all right, will they be back? In their case, in LSU's case, they're losing two key components of their team. One, Joe Burrow is now going to move on to the NFL, probably to Cincinnati. I know you're an Ohio guy. We'll have to see how that plays out. But also, their passing game coordinator is Mike's going on here. But my passing game coordinator is also moving on. He was picked up by the Carolina Panthers as the offensive coordinator, and so yeah, there are changes that are being made. And we'll have to see how that plays out. They obviously have backup quarterbacks. They're going to have to develop those quarterbacks. They're going to have to figure out who's going to fill Joe Brady's role in that passing game coordinator role. But that's a big change. Now, LSU, on the other hand, they're not losing too much. And so they should be back. We'll have to see how LSU can develop now that those two key components are moving on. Because Joe Burrow and Joe Brady, the two Joes, were fantastic this past season. Very powerful offense.
We've got the final NFL games, coming up here this Sunday. Give us the rundown.
All right. Titans, Chiefs, Packers, 49ers. I'm excited. Mark, are you excited?
I'm excited.
You should be. A lot of history going on here, man. If people are asking me, hey, who do you think is going to move on? I honestly do not know. This has been, hey, look at the Titans, man. Look at what they've been able to accomplish. Who thought that they were going to make it this far? Now they're playing another tough team, but they've already defeated two tough teams already as an underdog. I don't know if you can call a team that has accomplished what they've accomplished in this postseason underdogs, but we'll have to see how it pans out. But you got, the Titans going against the Chiefs. Can the Chiefs actually stop Derrick Henry, which is the guy's 6'3", 247 pounds, fast, big, strong, and when you have a team that when you're facing a team that has a great run game, you got to defend the run, but at the same time, you got to watch out for passes. And they like to run play-action passes, faking to the running back and throwing downfield. So it's going to be hard to cover, but at the same time, man, the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, they're magic. And so we'll have to see how that pans out. Historically, I don't know if the Packers will get past the 49ers because they've been dominant this year, the 49ers. But historically, I would love to see the Packers-Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It comes full circle, Super Bowl I. Packers got that 35-10. So that's what I'm hoping for. It's going to be a lot of exciting football this weekend, and I can't wait to see it. And we'll be there, which we'll talk about soon, probably next week, but I'll be there, so I can't wait to see it.
That's right. That's right. Well, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, he's praising God following their big comeback and win. Talk about that.
Yeah, he says faith fuels his success. There's a guy who keeps his priorities in order. I love it when they do that. They recognize where their strength comes from because this game, it can go any which way. And you have to have some sort of foundation to come back to when things go wrong. He's been there. He's bounced back. He's suffered through injuries. And now he's giving God all the glory, and I love to see it.
And what's coming up this weekend on Going the Distance?
We got a guy that I sat with named Don Carey who's making moves on the field. He's retired now. He's with the Jaguars, with the Detroit Lions for a while. Norfolk State guy who's making moves off the field. So I got a chance to catch up with him. And we're just talking about all he's got going on, man. He's written a book, and he's also a builder. So I love to see these guys after football, using what God's given them to do other things off the field. So I'm excited to see that. Don
That's
Carey.
So true, so true. And you can watch Going the Distance Saturday night at 6:30 and Sunday night at 7:30 right here on the CBN News Channel. Thank you, Sean.
All right, thanks, Mark, man. Good to be with you, man.
Yeah, you too. And that's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.